Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to all of you. Sorry, I'm like a couple minutes behind this morning for some reason. I clicked go live and then nothing happened, but here we are. We made it to Friday of this week, this crazy week. But I'm excited to just have a moment to talk about art and look at art with all of you and make some art. So thank you for joining me for the Student Bulletin. We've got the usual suspects checking in. Jason is here. Celeste, Sandra is here. Sandra is in northern Minnesota where it is 7 above zero. Very cold. Corinne is here. Robert, Rennie, Stephanie, Tina, Liz, Bonnie, Kirsten, Jan, Biz, Kathy and Holly, Anka, excellent. Boyle, Marcel, so many names and folks to say hello to. And I love seeing everybody here hanging out. So let's get right into it. I want to show you some amazing art that was shared in the schoolyard this week. And it's been a while since we had a bulletin. We kept having all these holidays, but now we are in the month of January. We are settling in and ready for a fresh new year. So let's get started. I want to start off with this piece of art from Anka, who's here, I believe. She did this collage last week, and I just could not stop staring at it. We've got this cheetah leopard right in the middle. Cheetah, I'm mixing those two up. Probably a big cat expert would be very upset by my mix-up. But anyway, we have this huge feline right in the middle, and I just love this scene with all the house plants, and it's incredible. So Anka, thank you for sharing this really whimsical collage with us. It was definitely a great escape to feast your eyes upon. Another student, Daphne, is participating in a challenge through They Draw and Garden, which is another offshoot of They Draw and Cook and They Draw and Travel. But they're doing a 21-day challenge where they post a different prompt every day, and it's 21 days of fresh flowers, which is so nice to think about in the dead of winter, at least here in the Midwest. We don't see a lot of fresh flowers unless you go buy them at the store, but Daphne did a beautiful job. And every day there's a different flower featured. So if you're into fresh flowers and drawing flowers, check out They Draw and Garden. It's their 21-day challenge. And this turned out beautifully, Daphne, and I can't wait to see more of them. Another student, Jan, shared this image with us just in honor of all of our service workers, our restaurant workers, and people that are really struggling in the pandemic. Jan talked about a lot of friends that have restaurants, and I thought this was such a moving little painting of a cup of coffee in what looks like an empty restaurant. And I love Jan's just taking a moment to thank restaurant workers and essential workers because it's a really rough time for them right now. So for anybody, wherever you are, if you can order takeout or carry out or delivery from these local restaurants, please do. They obviously need us for that right now. Another student, Jetta, had taken some time away from drawing, and she bought Shut Your Monkey, which is one of Danny Gregory's books, a while back, and just recently dived back into it and kind of found her spark again for drawing. But what I love is that she did this drawing of Shut Your Monkey, along with some art supplies, and I love the way she used colors from the cover of the book. And I'm so glad that Jetta is jumping back in to drawing and joining us again in the schoolyard. So welcome back, Jetta, and I'm glad that you were kicking off the year with the Creative Manifesto. Another student, William, did this beautiful drawing on his iPad, and he wrote about wanting to draw something calm and still during a time of chaos. And I have to say, looking at this image, it just instantly lowers my heart rate. So William, thank you for sharing this digital drawing with us. I think in this time we kind of need images that are soothing and calming, and this really fits the bill. So thank you for sharing that, William. And another student, Lisa, she did this drawing at her house of her bathroom door, with the door open. And I just love this because it's funny to think about something that you walk by in your house all the time and you don't think about it. But when you draw it, it ends up making a really interesting drawing. So Lisa, thank you for sharing this mundane subject with us because I think it made for a really beautiful drawing. It looks like something right out of Tommy Kane's sketchbook. I really love your line quality here and your hatching and cross-hatching. And it made me want to think about parts of my house that I often just walk right by and don't pay any attention to. So it made me wonder what else you could look at in your own home that would make for an interesting drawing that maybe you'd previously ignored. So Lisa, thanks for sharing that. Another student, Nanda, shared this, and I had to laugh. She wrote a caption for this drawing that said, "Too many online meetings this week." And I just looked at this and chuckled because I think we've all felt this way as having Zoom after Zoom after Zoom call. And it kind of just starts to feel like a sea of faces, right? And I love that Nanda kind of turned that into a little cartoon of all these little whimsical characters. So for anyone else that's feeling Zoom fatigue or just tired of online meetings, I think turning to your sketchbook is a great way to translate that and communicate that. And just take a break from a screen, right? So if you're drawing on paper, you're not looking at a computer screen, which is also great. So thank you, Nanda. Another student, Kelly, she did this drawing on a tiny adventure, which she got that idea from our art boot camp class and the instructor, Michael Knobs. But thinking about where you can take little adventures just around your home that you could take your sketchbook along for. And what I loved about Kelly's drawing and why I'm sharing this is that she went to a local park with her 3 children to go ice skating, and she still managed to sneak in some drawings, even if they were really quick. And she said in her description that it's really hard to find time to draw when you're constantly relacing up little kids' skates, which I just had this image of a mom juggling kids' skates with her sketchbook, and I really liked that image. So Kelly, way to go, bringing your sketchbook on an outdoor adventure with 3 children. That sounds like a lot, but you did it, and it's amazing. So thank you for sharing that little moment with us. And I want to celebrate, as 2 last pieces of art that I share, I want to celebrate 2 students, 2 artists from our community that are just finishing a year of drawing every single day. So Janice McCarty just finished her complete 365 days, maybe it was 66 days in a year, of doing a drawing every single day. And I loved that her final drawing to commemorate that was this little quote about her experience during the month of December. Maybe it wasn't her last drawing, but early in the month of December, she decided to kind of just commemorate the experience and share what she learned. And I just loved this little sketch where she's got her little wagon full of sketchbooks, and her little corgi, Millie, is just hopping off in the distance with a paintbrush on its back. So I thought that was really cool, and I just wanted to celebrate this accomplishment. So Janice, way to go. And then another student, Kimberly, has done the same thing. She did a drawing every day. She did 366 days of drawing, and she was just doing some beautiful daily pages, just drawing things that made her happy, things that stressed her out, documenting her day, and she stuck with it for a whole year. Which I think is incredible. So Kimberly, also congrats to you. It's quite an accomplishment and deserves to be recognized and celebrated. And to any of you that are embarking on these awesome challenges, whether it's 30 days of something or 100 days of something or a year of something, please let us know. Tell us about it in the SkoolYard. We want to celebrate you and talk about you to everyone just because it's really exciting and it's something to be proud of. So way to go, both of you and anyone else who's embarking on a similar journey. I hope that you'll tell us about it in the SkoolYard. Now I want you all to take out your sketchbooks. Today's drawing, we are going to focus on the fact that, I just learned this today, January is National Soup Month. So we're talking about soup, and we're going to celebrate soup. Because who doesn't like a big hot bowl of soup in the middle of winter? If it's not middle of winter for you right now, you could do a gazpacho or maybe a colder soup. But I want you all to think about your favorite soup. And you can either draw a bowl of it, or what I like to do is you can just do a little doodle of like an illustrated recipe. So maybe draw a couple ingredients. If you have a favorite soup, maybe from childhood that your mom made you when you were sick, or if you have a favorite soup at a local restaurant that you always get when you go there. Because it's National Soup Month, we're going to draw soup today. So I want you to think about that, think about what your favorite soup is, and I'm going to do this in kind of the style of a little illustrated recipe. Let me just fix this timer here. But I want you to think about your favorite soup, and then I want you to draw it. And you can draw it in a bowl, kind of like this picture. This picture is actually a picture of my favorite soup. I didn't take it. It's very professionally done. But my favorite soup is actually, this is funny, the autumn squash soup from Panera. Go figure. It's so simple and inexpensive, and it's from a fast food restaurant. But I love making it at home. I actually have a recipe for it that I use, like a copycat recipe. But it has pumpkin and butternut squash in it, and apple cider and maple syrup and all these good things. So I want you all to, oh my gosh, and I just read Catherine's comment that today's prompt for They Draw and Cooks drawing challenge is soup. So I didn't even know that. So maybe they were on the same website looking at what holidays are happening this month and what quirky holidays or themes going on for the month. Who knew? So I'm going to set our timer, and I want you to think about your favorite soup. So I'm going to do this kind of like an illustrated recipe, like I said, but you can do this any way you want. But I like the idea of, a bowl and then all the little ingredients kind of falling into it. So that is what I'm going to do. But I'm curious, what kind of soup do you guys like? Or are there people here that really don't like soup? I mean, maybe that's just something that not everybody's into, and that's okay. But I love soup, and the main reason that I love soup is because you get to eat bread with soup, and I love bread. Love baking bread, love eating other people's bread that they've baked. So to me, soup is a perfect excuse to eat bread, a big old chunk of crusty bread. So that might be why I like soup the most. I don't think I could eat soup without a carb to go with it. That's just my style. So I want you to just think about what your favorite soup is and maybe draw the ingredients to it, whatever those might be. I'm going to do this kind of like a little illustrated recipe. Not too precise, but nonetheless, I'll have all the ingredients. Yeah, Holly's saying that she makes soup once a week. Yeah, it's just a good staple, It's easy, and it's filling depending on what you put in it. And you can't really go wrong, especially when it's cold out. I think it's great to have a nice big bowl of hot soup. So I'm curious to see what soup you guys wind up with. But I'm going to do the autumn squash soup from Panera that I like to make at home because I think it's really good. So let's see what we've got. We've got carrots and butternut squash and just some other ingredients. I just butchered a carrot in my drawing. Oops. Not the greatest, but I've always been fascinated by cold soups. I know I mentioned that earlier. If you're in a hot climate, maybe hot soup just doesn't sound good to you. But I really like the idea of cold soup. I've never actually had gazpacho. I've had it, but I've never made it, rather. It's just not something that usually jumps out at me, but I'm very curious. I think there's a lot of varieties of cold soups that people eat. And that's just very interesting to me because I always think of soup as like a big hot bowl of something. But let's see. I'm trying to think of what else goes in this soup because I make it so often. I should know this by heart. I also love there's cinnamon in it and cumin, which putting those spices together is always a good thing. But yeah, I'm curious what kind of soup you guys are fans of. Looks like a few of you in the comments make soup as a weekly thing. But now I'm just hungry thinking about it. Now that I saw Janice's comment about a big piece of crusty bread, I am totally jonesing for that right now. Plus, I think it just warms you up in a different way than eating like a plate of food for dinner, I think it really toasts you up from the inside. But yes, and Kathy said to add love, which of course any dish you're making at home, full of love, definitely. I love that. And I feel like I'm drawing a blank. Oh, vegetable stock. That's an important thing to put in soup if you want it to be soupy, liquidy. I guess you need that base, right? Almost forgot that. I'll make sure that I put that in there. And I also love soups that take like days of simmering to make. My dad used to put a big old ham hock in his soups and just let them simmer for days on end. And it's such a fun memory of just the kitchen smelling like that for a couple days in the winter. Really nice memory. Those soups are labors of love. I prefer a soup that's ready in half hour, maybe tops, so that I can be scarfing it down. But I wound up, I didn't finish, but I got most of my ingredients here with a very heinous looking carrot. Whoops. Not so great, but got it on paper, made me really hungry. And Giselle is saying she throws everything she has in a soup, so it's always a surprise. Yes, soups are a great way to clean out your fridge. If you've got produce to get rid of and you don't know what to make, throw it in a big pot and you're good to go. So thank you all for indulging me and celebrating National Soup Month. I would love to see your favorite soups in the schoolyard if you use the student bulletin topic. I really want to see what you guys are cooking up in those big soup pots. And I'll just be over here drooling over autumn squash soup that I don't have any right now. I'll have to make do. But yeah, Candace is talking about minestrone, which is very good, or French onion soup with that crispy top with the cheese. Oh, that sounds very good as well. And it looks like Danny is hanging out and did a cauldron of everything hanging out in the fridge soup, which again, great way to make use of your produce. But I hope all of you enjoy your soup drawings today and have an awesome Friday and a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.